Amish gardeners mix 3 pantry ingredients into their tomato beds every June, and their plants consistently produce twice what most backyard gardens get from the same space. This costs under $2, takes 5 minutes, and feeds something underneath the plant that no fertilizer bag on the market actually addresses. What it feeds is the soil, specifically the microbial life in the soil immediately around your tomato roots. Most commercial fertilizers deliver nutrients directly to the plant, which produces fast, visible growth but does nothing for the long-term health of the soil ecosystem that the plant depends on. Amish gardening tradition has always understood that a healthy tomato plant is downstream of healthy soil, not the other way around. The 3 ingredients are active dry yeast, molasses, and water. Mix 1 teaspoon of active dry yeast with 1 tablespoon of unsulfured molasses in 1 gallon of warm water, not hot since heat above about 110 degrees kills the yeast. Stir until both are dissolved and let the mixture sit for 20 to 30 minutes before using it. During that time, the yeast begins activating and multiplying, and you want an active culture rather than dry, dormant yeast when you apply it to the soil. Pour 1 to 2 liters of the mixture slowly around the base of each tomato plant, directly onto the soil within about 6 inches of the stem rather than further out. Apply in the early morning or evening when the soil is cooler, since heat from the midday sun can damage the yeast culture before it has time to establish in the soil. Repeat once every 2 to 3 weeks through the growing season, rather than as a one-time application, because the microbial population you are building needs consistent feeding to maintain and grow. Here is the mechanism that makes this work, and why it actually produces the results traditional gardeners have always attributed to it. Yeast is a living organism that, when introduced into soil, stimulates the existing populations of beneficial bacteria and fungi already present. It does this through a few pathways. Yeast produces carbon dioxide and small amounts of alcohol as it metabolizes the sugars in the molasses, both of which trigger growth responses in soil bacteria populations. It also produces B vitamins, including thiamine, which are growth factors for many beneficial soil microorganisms. The resulting increase in microbial activity directly accelerates the breakdown of organic matter in the soil into plant-available nutrients, which is why plants treated with this mixture show improved growth even without additional conventional fertilizer. Molasses serves 2 roles. First, it is the food source that the yeast metabolizes, which sustains the yeast culture in the soil long enough for it to establish. Second, molasses contains significant levels of iron, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur in organic form, which become available to the plant as the molasses breaks down in the soil. This is why the recipe specifies unsulfured molasses specifically. Sulfured molasses contains added sulfur dioxide as a preservative that inhibits soil microbial life, which is exactly the opposite of what you want. Unsulfured molasses, which is labeled clearly on the bottle, contains none of those additives and is the version that feeds the soil rather than suppressing it. Tomatoes respond particularly well to this treatment compared to most other vegetables for 2 reasons. First, they are heavy feeders with a long growing season that exhausts soil nutrients quickly, making the microbial acceleration of nutrient cycling especially impactful. Second, tomatoes are strongly influenced by consistent soil moisture and microbial health in ways that directly affect fruit set and size. A tomato plant stressed by poor soil biology will abort flowers before they develop into fruit, which is one of the most common causes of poor tomato yields in home gardens, regardless of how much water and fertilizer is applied. Old Amish kitchen gardens applied this mixture alongside wood ash from the cook stove, which added potassium and raised soil pH slightly, and compost from the kitchen scraps pile, which provided organic matter for the microbial community to work with. The yeast and molasses mix was the activator, not the complete solution. It works best in soil that already has some organic matter present, which is why applying it alongside a layer of compost or well-rotted manure produces stronger results than applying it to compacted or depleted soil alone. Apply this to your tomato plants this week if they are in the ground. The timing matters because the microbial response builds over 2 to 3 weeks, and the plants need that time to put the benefit toward fruit development rather than spending it only on late-season leaf growth. Subscribe because the next video covers the one specific tomato mistake that causes blossom end rot even in well-watered gardens, and the old Amish fix for it costs nothing. Tell me in the comments how many tomato plants you have this year and whether you are getting good fruit set, because that tells me which part of this to cover in more detail next.